Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wa sayyidil mursalin. Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin fa ba'd. Esteemed professors, doctors, dear brothers and sisters, we are truly delighted to welcome you all to the seventh day of our International Virtual Camp for Muslim University Students with greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Muhammad Insaf from Sri Lanka, PhD candidate at the International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, IIUM Malaysia. Esteemed professors, doctors, my dear brothers and sisters, Insha'Allah, first lecture of today's session will be under the topic of Muslim youth success, mastering emotional and cultural intelligence. Dear brothers and sisters, before we start our lecture, I kindly welcome Sister Hana Hansan from University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, to recite some verses from the Holy Quran. Please welcome, sister.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wadduha wal-laili idza saja ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qadha walal-akhiratu khairul laka minal ula ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنحر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث.
Sadaqallahul Azim. Thank you very much, sister. Dear brothers and sisters, it is our honor to introduce today's eminent speaker, Professor Abdelaziz Berghout. Professor Abdelaziz Berghout is a luminary in the realm of Islamic thought and civilization, and his contribution to academia have been nothing short to remarkable. Professor Abdelaziz Berghout holding the prestigious position of Dean at International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, ISTAC, IIUM. Professor Abdelaziz received his master's in International Islamic University of Malaysia. Then he received his PhD at the esteemed University of Malaya. And some of his areas of specializations are linguistics and literature, Islamic civilizational studies, political sciences and public policy, economics, business, and management. Professor Abdelaziz has hundreds of publications, including journal articles, books, chapters, and books. Professor Berghout has received several awards, notably the Jewel of Muslim World OIC Award and Visenium Appreciation Award from the Ma'ad Academy, Kerala, India, and also recognized as one of the 2000 outstanding intellectuals of the 21st century by the International Biographical Center in Cambridge, England. Dear brothers and sisters, without further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Abdelaziz Berghout to deliver his speech. Please welcome, Professor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Brother, do you hear me?
Yes, Professor, we can.
Oh yeah, is it clear? Everybody can hear?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Dear professors, doctors, brothers and sisters, the organizers of this very important virtual Islamic camp for this year, once again, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this lecture. As has been mentioned in the introduction of our brother Muhammad, the topic is about youth, Muslim youth success, the importance of mastering emotional and cultural intelligence. Brother Muhammad, is it possible to use the screen?
Dr. Ihsan, I think.
Yes, Professor, you have the rights. You are co-host, you can share it.
Yeah, I'm trying to share here, but it says host disabled participant screen sharing. This one in my computer. I'm using also my telephone to speaking from the telephone because I think I have some problem in the computer. But for sharing, if you allow, I can share. If not, I will just go on. And maybe later on, I can send to you this presentation. Oh, okay. Okay. Now I can see that. Okay. Brothers and sisters, let me just take out this one from here. Can you see anything in the screen there?
Yes, Professor, we can.
Okay. Okay, brothers and sisters, once again, welcome to this lecture. I'm going just to share with you some ideas and views on the importance of emotional and cultural intelligence for our success in our life and in what we do. We'll try to link it somehow to the Islamic perspective also. Brothers and sisters, you remember, all of you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created man as Khalifa on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. From this verse of the Quran, it is very clear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this human for a purpose, for a mission, for a responsibility or an amana to be carried out in this life. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this man, brothers and sisters, he created this man and prepared him for the mission, for the responsibility of becoming a Khalifa on earth. Without that preparation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without that, those attributes and qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to Adam alayhi salam and to the people of Adam, they cannot do the job of Khilafah on earth. Or I will let you know shortly what does that responsibility mean and what it requires, brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared the Khalifa for the job of building istikhlaf on earth. Istikhlaf on earth means that this human is to do the role of ibadah, the role of i'mar, the role of building desirable life on earth, the role of restoring justice and building balanced human civilization on earth in preparation for the hereafter, for the akhirah. So this human being who is Khalifa on earth is prepared for this mission, brothers and sisters. And what are the things that were given to Adam alayhi salam and to his children after him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Adam, as you all know, has given him aql, has given him the power of reasoning, has given him fitrah, human nature, human innate, the potentials of understanding and doing and acting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him the ability and the readiness to receive the revelation and to receive the wahyu through the prophets and the messengers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the ability to this vicegerent, has given him the senses, the body and the senses. And with all these things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Adam, he is now made ready to assume the role of a Khalifa on earth. One of the important things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us as Khalifa on earth, as humans with this responsibility, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give to this human what we call multiple intelligences. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to this human many abilities and many intelligences, brothers and sisters. And this is a very important thing to understand, that as a human, as Khalifa on earth, we cannot do this mission or this work or this responsibility of building and i'mar and ibadah and building hayatun tayyiba or desirable life and leading all other creation in this world. And we are created to assume the job of Khalifa means the leading person who will lead humanity and lead the world in ibadah, in i'mar, in ta'aruf, in building whatever balanced life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us those intelligences, the multiple intelligence. Means this human is bestowed by or given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the very many ni'mah. One of them is you have many intelligences. What we call the IQ. You know, IQ means you have intelligence in logic, in mathematics, in measures, in numbers, in acquiring knowledge, in disseminating knowledge, in becoming creative, in doing ijtihad. But that IQ is part and parcel of those multiple intelligences which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and without which we cannot do our job in this world, brothers and sisters. For thousands of years, the intelligence of people was measured by the IQ, by the numbers, by the statistics, by the knowledge, by the memorization. And alhamdulillah, humanity in its development and the development of knowledge, some of the great scholars of our time, like Professor Gardner, discovered this idea of the multiple intelligences of the human being, the physical intelligence, the musical intelligence, the geographical intelligence, and many of them. Among these intelligences which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in our fitrah, in our understanding, in our creation, in our personality, is what we call the emotional intelligence, the cultural intelligence, the spiritual intelligence. And these are intelligences which are very crucial in the success of any human being, brothers and sisters. On earth, and you have all the ilm, all the knowledge, all the IQ. Actually, that IQ, that knowledge cannot guarantee your success in life, brothers and sisters. What is important other than that intelligence which you have, or the knowledge which you have, you need to learn the other intelligences, especially from an Islamic perspective. There are 4 important intelligences which all of us need to learn, even starting from our early days. The spiritual intelligence, the cultural intelligence, the moral and ethical intelligence, brothers and sisters, and this emotional intelligence. Plus, of course, the other intelligences like the IQ, or the knowledge that we need for us to understand the world, the knowledge that we need to analyze, to criticize, to synthesize, to understand, to do these cognitive processes. But what is crucial, and what I would like to explain to you today, it's not more about the IQ or the logical intelligences, or the ability to think and understand and analyze and criticize and create knowledge and develop things. I will focus more on 2 of the important intelligences that everybody as a human and as Khalifa on earth needs to master, or to know to the level of using it to succeed in life, brothers and sisters. As you see in front of you here in the screen, we are here bringing to you this view of Buddha here talks about one of the very important aspects of our human life, brothers and sisters. It talks about social intelligence, which is a very important aspect of what we call emotional intelligence. You see what he says here: resolve to be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant with the weak and wrong. Sometimes in your life, you will have been all of these. So here talks about the ability of the person to live with others and to build relations and to relate yourself to other people. Why? Because you are a Khalifa on earth. And what does mean Khalifa on earth? Means you are a human being. And a human being means you have relations with other people. How do you manage your relations with other people matters a lot. And this is why, brothers and sisters, if you go back to the Muqaddimah of Ibn Khaldun, the scholar, the Muslim scholar who discovered this ilm al-umran, or ilm of human association, the science of civilization, the science of culture, the science of building umran, building hadara, building society. And as a human, as Ibn Khaldun say, al-insanu ijtima'iyyun bitab'ihi. The human is by his nature a social being. And because you are a social being, you must have the social skills. You must have what we call the social intelligence as part and parcel of what we call emotional intelligence, and shall be explained to you shortly. When we look at Aristotle here, he is talking about how you manage yourself, how you manage your anger, how you especially manage your emotions, brothers and sisters. Here he is referring to one aspect of emotional intelligence, which is very crucial in the life of each and every one of us, brothers and sisters. I summarize from this, brothers and sisters, that as human beings, We need to learn these skills, these intelligences for our success in our mission and responsibility as khulafa on earth. For your information, the contemporary and current studies in human resources development, in social sciences, in economics, in many areas prove that the IQ has not, is not as we assume that it is the reason for our success in life or for our performance in our work or in our jobs, brothers and sisters. It has been proven that the IQ contribution to our success, individually and collectively, and also as companies and bodies and institutions, it has been proven that the IQ contributes 20%, 30% in the success of many individuals and institutions and companies. While the emotional intelligence and the cultural intelligence and the spiritual intelligence and the moral and ethical intelligence contribute a lot in the success and balance of the human brothers and sisters. So as Muslim youth and Muslim students, and especially as Muslims and Khalifa on earth, we need really to understand the power of these elements of emotional and cultural and spiritual and moral and ethical intelligence. As Islam is a great source of these things, which become today the power of success of individuals and societies, brothers and sisters. Islam, the Quran mentions about the personalities and the methods of the prophets and the messengers and the great people. And if you really study deeply the success and the work and the achievements of the prophets and the messengers and the great people in history, you will find that their emotional intelligence, their cultural intelligence, their spiritual intelligence, their moral and ethical intelligence was greatly influencing their performance and success in whatever mission they done, brothers and sisters. If you take the model of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as one of the great Anbiya and Rusul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see how all the manhaj of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the work of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sunnah refers to the importance and need for emotional intelligence, moral intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and cultural intelligence in dealing with people and society. For that matter, brothers and sisters, we found in the manhaj of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and in his Sunnah and in his work and in his success, in his da'wah, we found that cultural intelligence and emotional intelligence in particular were very present in his work, in his dealing with other people, with other cultures, with other religions. And you see all this in his da'wah, in his dealing with Muslims and non-Muslims, in his constitution of Medina, in his approach to nurturing and building the great personalities of the Sahaba, who would become later on the great drivers of the Islamic society and the Islamic Ummah, brothers and sisters. I think it is so far clear to you that, brothers and sisters, today we are talking about very important aspects of human life and also of success in life, especially when we link emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence, spiritual intelligence, moral ethical intelligence, and others. We link it to our great revealed knowledge to our great Islam and Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So brothers and sisters, let's start giving you some ideas about the importance of emotional intelligence. Brothers and sisters, as you are all aware, emotional intelligence is the ability of the person to understand his own emotions, to understand his own feelings, to understand his own way of behaving towards things. Brothers and sisters, emotional intelligence, as you see, you cannot talk about a human without talking about his emotions, his soul, his heart, his mental. You cannot understand the human if you only talk about his IQ, his knowledge, his aql, his cognitive power, his ijtihadi power, his intellectual power. It's very important, but it does not explain the whole human being. It does not explain the other intelligences and powers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon this Khalifa on earth, this vicegerent on earth. So brothers and sisters, the emotional intelligence is very crucial part of the human being. And it comes from his emotions. And your emotion, as you know, the human being has a lot of emotions, whether of sadness, of grief, of anger, of fear. And if you are unable to manage these things, you cannot be living in balance emotionally, psychologically. And if you are not living emotionally and psychologically stable and balanced, you cannot manage your or other aspects of your action and behavior with other people. This is why, brothers and sisters, emotional intelligence is that ability to understand you and to be aware and conscious of your own emotions and feelings, and not only to be aware and not only to understand them, or not only to be aware of them, but also to manage them. That's why, if you remember, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one of the hadith, very powerful hadith. I think our people in psychology, those who specialize in Islamic psychology, they will understand this very well. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one of the hadith, in the meaning of the hadith, you know, he was saying that the human, the good person and the good human is not the person who becomes angry easily, who cannot manage his anger. But the balanced person and the good person is the one who can manage his ghadab in the situations of, or in the critical situation. So managing your anger, managing your fear, for example, you manage your anger. Why? Because in our daily life, we encounter hundreds of situations where our anger goes up and goes down, and sometimes we explode because of the situations of life. In the house, with children, with wife, in the work, with friends, with the policemen, with the people in the company, with people in the street. How do we manage that? If you are unable to manage that, then you will be having issues. It's the same when we talk about the emotion of fear, brothers and sisters. If you cannot manage your fear, for example, you will end up having a lot of problems of stress, of emotional of phobia, of discontent, of all types of angers, all types of emotions that can destroy your psychology, your mental health, and make you not a healthy person mentally and psychologically and emotionally, brothers and sisters. So it's the same when we talk about fear. We have, just as humanity came out of the big disaster of COVID-19, brothers and sisters, if you remember. And if you remember, or each and every one of you will remember how much fear was there, how much fear and anger and how much emotions of sadness and grief because of the death of people, because of the death of the good ones, because of the destabilization of your work, of your life. So if you don't have that emotional intelligence to manage your emotions and manage your feelings, then you will end up having emotional problems, mental problems, psychological problems. So brothers and sisters, from this perspective comes the importance of what we call emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, as I said, is the ability of the person or the group to manage their own emotions, their own feelings, not only manage them, being aware and manage, but you monitor them, you control them, you guide them positively and balancedly so that you live balanced health. The second aspect of emotional intelligence, brothers and sisters, is what we call managing others' emotions, understanding others' emotions, not only your own emotion, but also others' emotions, brothers and sisters, because you are dealing with other people. And other people also have their emotions, have their feelings, same like you. And if you don't understand how they feel, how they do, how they act, how they behave, how they relate themselves, then you cannot be able to manage them. This is why, brothers and sisters, emotional intelligence is the ability to understand yourself, your feelings, and manage them. You understand other people's feelings and manage them. And that's why one of the very important aspects of emotional intelligence is what they call empathy. What is empathy? Empathy, you behave and act and deal with other people, but you feel what they feel. You put yourself in their shoe, as they say. This is one of the very important aspects of what we call emotional intelligence. And if you go back to the Sunnah of Rasul, to the Manhaj of Rasul, you will really understand how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam really, the word master of emotional intelligence and spiritual is not enough. But you see that how Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam understands the emotions of others, the feelings of others, and how he deal with them in a very perfect way, brothers and sisters. Two examples. Example number one, you remember one time there was one Bedouin came to the mosque while the Prophet and the Sahaba were in halaqah of discussion, and then a Bedouin come from the desert and go to the corner in the mosque and urinate. And then some of the Sahaba saw him and they become very angry and they were not happy and they went to him and they wanted to scold him. But Rasul say, no, don't do this. Don't do this. Just let him finish and put some water in this place and clean it. And then he brought the Bedouin and say, brother, this place is not for such kind of things, and we should not do this type of things, because if we do them, there is najasa, there is this and that. Imagine we treat the Bedouin harshly and badly, how will be his emotion or his view of us? Another example, there was in the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, one young person came one time to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he was with the Sahaba and say, Ya Rasulullah, then leave zina. Please, Ya Rasulullah, give me permission to commit zina or adultery. Imagine something happens in any of our mosques today and someone, young person, adolescent, he is in that situation and come and say this. Imagine how people will deal with his feelings and how they will deal with his situation. Maybe the least they can do, they can throw him out of the mosque or they can beat him. But Rasulullah say, come close to me, sit here near me. And then he asked him, do you like this to your sister? Do you like this to your mother? Do you like this to then Rasulullah say others also they don't like it, and he dealt with the situation emotionally and intellectually very perfectly, brothers and sisters. So emotional intelligence is that ability to understand yourself, to understand your feelings, yourself, the others' feelings, and you manage your feelings and manage others' feelings, and also not only the aspect of your feelings and others' feelings, also how do you manage your social relations, as you see it here in this diagram in front of you, in this illustration. Social awareness, social dealing with, because as a human, as a social being, created by Allah as Khalifa to live with others, to build Umran and to do civilization, you are dealing with people. And when you deal with people, you have to master the skills of social relations, social, how do you deal with other people, with other communities? How do you understand what they feel, how they act, how they behave? What language is good and what language is not good? What words are acceptable and what words not acceptable? What behavior is acceptable? What behavior is not acceptable, brothers and sisters? So social awareness and social relations, or managing your social relations, is part and parcel of that emotional intelligence, brothers and sisters. Imagine yourself unable to manage your emotions, and you are unable to manage others' emotions, and you are unable to manage social relations. Imagine, brothers and sisters, whether you can be able to really build a balanced life or not. I think from experience and from studies, it will be very hard for you, brothers and sisters. So, brothers and sisters, as you see in the screen, these are the 4 important elements in building our emotional self.
Professor,
go ahead.
We lost the screen. I think the phone is disconnected at the moment.
Oh, okay. Just a second. I will be sending to you later on. I will send to you all this PowerPoint, inshallah. I will just continue because of the sake of time, but we will come back to, I will send it to Brother Muhammad, inshallah. So, brothers and sisters, these 3 or 4 aspects of emotional intelligence are very important to each and every one of us, whether in our work, in our study, in our dealing with others, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. We have to deal with these brothers and sisters. Now, having said all this regarding the emotional intelligence, brothers and sisters, let me just mention to you that those people who are emotionally intelligent are able to deal with others in a better way, in a better manner. They have open-mindedness. They respect others' feelings. They tolerate others. They put themselves in the situation of other people and act accordingly. In this way, this type of people, they are able to build good relations. They are able to be accepted and acceptable, or their views and ideas and behavior accepted by other groups. And from this, they have more influence and more impact on other people, brothers and sisters. If I wanted to take the example of any one of our Sahaba, or the companion of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or any of those great Muslims who really abide by the teachings of Islam and practice Islam as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it, you will find them are compassionate, tolerate others, consider the feelings of others, empathetic, more caring and serving to others. So that's the impact of emotional intelligence. So anyone wants to succeed in his marriage, in his work, in his relations, in his study, he needs all these emotional things to be managed, brothers and sisters, positively and balancedly, so that can create a kind of a good balanced personality that can really make impacts. Brothers and sisters, those who are not emotionally intelligent, their anger goes up very quickly. They don't respect others. They don't consider, or they don't change their perspective, even if there are evidences. They are not open-minded. They are emotionally unstable. When it is a situation of anger, you will find them in fear. When it's a situation of fear, you will find them very angry. When it's a situation of support and help and showing enthusiasm and empathy, you will find them showing something else. So brothers and sisters, this is the repercussion when you are emotionally intelligent and you behave that way. That's how you see the impacts on your character and in your behavior. But if you are negatively dealing with the emotional intelligence and you don't have those skills of empathy or managing and controlling your emotion, managing and controlling your relations, then you will be having a lot of problems. That's why you find, brothers and sisters, in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and in his manhaj, a lot of skills of emotional intelligence, how you deal with Muslim and non-Muslim, how you deal with others who differ with you in their faith and your belief. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالُوا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh, you people of the book, yeah, you differ from us. You don't believe the one Tawheed God, but come to one common ground. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the story of Musa alayhi salam, when he said, you and Harun, اذهبا إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Fir'aun. He is Fir'aun. He is oppressor. And he is tagha, he is exceed the limits to the extent that he says that he is Rabbukumul A'la. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us that manhaj, that methodology which is based on emotional intelligence, which is based on respect of the human being, which is respect of others and tolerating others' beliefs, even though we know that they are not in accordance with Islam. But when it comes to dealing with people, to building relation, to doing da'wah, that's the manhaj of Islam. Say, قال اذهبا إلى فرعون. Go to Fir'aun. إنه طغى. وقولا له قولا لينا. And use the best of word to describe and to deal and to talk. Because that best word, brothers and sisters, brings people together, opens up the closed hearts and minds. That's why in one of the athar of Rasulullah, when you hear athar like this, smiling in the face of your brother or fellow human is sadaqah. Is Sadaqah. You know what is the impact of smiling in psychology and in mental health and in dealing with people? It's all very powerful. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the manhaj of Rasulullah, as I mentioned earlier, they are based on that understanding of the human soul, human psychology, mental, mind, intellectual, emotional. And that's why Islam is in accordance with the fitrah, brothers and sisters. So, having said all this, brothers and sisters, for us to improve our emotional intelligence, we need to learn these skills of empathy and skills of social relations and skills of managing anger, and there are a lot of things, brothers and sisters, in Islam and in Islamic psychology and in other knowledge of Islam that tells about how we discipline our soul, how we discipline our relations, how we discipline. If you read Ihya Ulum al-Din, or you read al-Balkhi, or you read the great scholars of Islam, those who specialize in psychology, in akhlaq, in ethics, in tasawwuf, you will see how these things are meant to build that mind, brothers and sisters. And now, I have to move very quickly to other things. In the PowerPoint, there are 60 slides, and they spell out a lot of skills, how you deal with the various areas of emotional intelligence. Let me take you to another important intelligence or skill that is needed in the success of any human, any person, and for that matter, a Muslim who is a Khalifa on earth, entrusted with the amana of ibadah and i'mar and ta'aruf and saving people from the darkness of ignorance and jahiliyyah to the light of Islam. It is the cultural intelligence, brothers and sisters. If the emotional intelligence builds your nafs and your psychology and your emotion and balances your emotions, the negative and the positive, and creates from you a balanced personality, a balanced person who can deal with others, who can relate himself to others, who can build good relations, who can, when I say build good relations with your family, with your children, with your wife, with your fellow human, with your friends. You know, brothers and sisters, failure in building these relations leads to many disasters in life. For your information, brothers and sisters, many studies show that many of the problems that lead to divorce between men and women, and anger and problems between children and parents are largely related to this inability to manage your emotional intelligence, brothers and sisters. If this emotional intelligence is very crucial and important in our balance and success in work and in our life, also cultural intelligence is very important. Why, brothers and sisters? Because Allah, what is cultural intelligence? Cultural intelligence also is your ability to understand your culture and others' cultures and manage your culture and manage others' cultures in the best way, brothers and sisters. Why culture is very crucial in the life of humans? Because without culture, humans cannot exist. Without culture, we cannot build any relations. We cannot even become social beings or human. It is culture that translates the civilization and the knowledge into real life, into a style of life, a way of life, a way of behavior, brothers and sisters. Culture has hundreds of definitions. One of them is, it is a way of life, a style of life, a way of behavior. How do you behave? How do you act? Your style of life, brothers and sisters. That's why culture is very crucial, because no one is living without a culture. Even if you are in living in Bedouin, you have a Bedouin culture. Animism, you have animist culture. Civilized, you have civilized culture. You are living in a city, we call it city culture. You are living in a kampong, we call it kampong culture. So culture is a very, very sophisticated and important phenomenon where each and every human live in every day. It's like the blood in your body. Without blood, there is nothing in you. In the society, there is no culture, there is nothing, brothers and sisters. So cultural intelligence is the ability to manage the styles of life, the cultures, the languages, the heritage, the tastes, the expressions of people, the aesthetics. Everything that we do in life is related to this component of culture. So if we don't have the cultural intelligence, we cannot manage our cultural relations. Brothers and sisters, as humans, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل للتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. We have created you from a single pair of male and female and made you. جعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل. What does mean this sociologically? From a sociological perspective, what does mean شعوبا وقبائل? Means we made you societies and we made you cultures. Malay culture, Pakistan culture, African culture, American culture, Christian culture, Asian culture, Chinese culture. Thousands of cultures, brothers and sisters, in the world today. And humans are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to know one another. How do you know one another? Through traveling, through learning. Well, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Travel through the earth to see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, to see the previous nations. Why? There is a lot of reference in the Quran about the stories of prophets and messengers, brothers and sisters. It is for us to learn the cultures of others, to learn how others were behaving, their style. And today, thousands and hundreds of cultures are there. And we are traveling. You travel from Algeria to Malaysia, from Malaysia to US, from US to Pakistan. If you don't understand their culture, their way of behavior, their expressions, their language, their way of doing things, and you don't have the cultural skills of knowing them, of dealing with them, that's why you find in the Quran a lot of references to other people, to their way of behavior, to their use of language. Example, you remember there is one verse in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about Yahud, about Bani Israel, and he was advising the Muslims. He say, because Muslims in the Arabic language or in the language of Arabia, the term ra'ina means from the root is ra'a. Ra'a means from ri'aya, from taking care of something, or caring for someone, and it's used in our cultural Arabic semantic model of that time normal, and today also the term ra'ina means from care or ri'aya or mura'at, caring. But in the language and the culture of the Jew of that time, That word is not, to them, it's not a good word. It's a word which has negative connotation. That's why the Quran says, don't say ra'ina, but say unzurna. Another word or term which has almost the same meaning, but the cultural connotation does not offend them. So brothers and sisters, to this extent, Islam and the Quran and the manhaj of Rasulullah takes into account and consideration the others' cultures, the others' languages, the others' expressions, whether aesthetic or as long as they don't differ with the core of Sharia and the maqasid of Sharia, the tolerance of Islam is very high, to the extent even that person who is a kafir, unbeliever, who does not subscribe to Tawheed, that person also, according to Islam, لا إكراه في الدين, no compulsion in religion. And Allah say, قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. Acknowledge that they worship something which does not subscribe to us. And also we worship something which is also different from them. لكم دينكم, that's tolerance. لكم دينكم ولي دين. So there is no tolerance like this among the religions, I guess, of the world. So brothers and sisters, that understanding culture and managing culture and learning the cultural skills, how you deal with culture, we are now becoming a globalized world, and we are living together, not only physically face to face. You find Muslims everywhere in the world. You find others everywhere in our countries. So we need to learn culture, brothers. Cultural intelligence is an important skill that helps you to succeed in your work, in your relations, in your dealing with other people, in your success, brothers and sisters. Now, there are 4 skills of cultural intelligence. I will not delve into the way how they are functioned, but there are 4 things you have to understand in this cultural intelligence. Number 1, you have to have the will and the inclination and to have the motivation to learn about others' cultures. Don't just sit with your own culture, with your own people, with your own language and think that, oh yeah, okay, that's enough for me. No, you should have, especially Muslim as a Khalifa on earth. You know why? Especially you, because you are telling the world that your religion is universal. You are telling that Muhammad is rahmatan lil alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have sent you but mercy to all mankind. What does mean mercy to all mankind? Means, other verse of the Quran says, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. If you are خير أمة أخرجت للناس, not to yourself, means you have to deal with all other ummah, with all other people, with all other nations, with all other cultures. So you need to understand them. So number 1, you should have the motivation, the will to learn others' cultures so that you can convey your message, so that you can understand them, so that you can learn the hikmah why Allah created many differing people and many other cultures and religions, and why he said, Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam, so that you see what distinct you from others and what is the beauty and the greatness of this religion and how it is the solution for the people. That's number 1. Number 2, after you have the motivation, you should have the knowledge about other cultures. لِلتَّعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ لِلتَّعَارَفُوا. You have to know others. You have to read. You have to learn. You have to deal with them. You have to live with them. And when you do that, you show them the values and culture of Islam. Brothers and sisters, you have the motivation, you have the knowledge. Number 3, you have the skills and the strategy to do that, to learn the skills, how I deal with African culture, how I deal with Malay culture, how I deal, what is the thing that makes them angry, what is the thing that is not good, what is the language, what is that. So you have to learn this. And number 4, brothers and sisters, you have to act. You have to do action, not just learn and have IQ, have knowledge about others, but you don't act, you don't do. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Quran always links between يا أيها الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. Amal is very important. Brothers and sisters, I'm very sorry. I took long time, and also I apologize for the PowerPoint, as I have a problem in the computer, but I hope you benefited little from what I said. May God bless you all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. We have question answer session, Professor. Brother Muali, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Dr. Isan, and our elder scholar in the house.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. Why appreciating your presentation, and also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to improve your knowledge, take care of your family, and also never leave you alone as you are immaterial, as you are serving as a great scholar, spreading Islam with your knowledge. Inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My first question is that, first of all, you discussed about 4 factors of emotional intelligence that are very important in the life of a Muslim or life of human being. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, sure. Go ahead.
So I want you to expatiate more, especially try to dish out that 4 factors for us, so that we can take it. The 4 factors who are very important, we can also take it down. That is number 1. The number 2, you encourage us to learn about other culture. So while learning about our culture, what is your view if along the line we can observe some things who are not who are un-Islamic? How do we dodge that? Then how do we implement whatever we might have learned from their culture? That is number 2. Number 3, you also talked about the cultural intelligence. So I need more view about that as a student of knowledge, so that we can be on the same page with all of you over there. My name is Olawale from Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Brother Muhammad, we answer directly or what?
Yes, Professor. You can
Okay,
answer.
yeah. Our brother, mashallah, he asked 3 questions. Each one of them needs a lecture. So let me just mention for the second. Hello, can you hear me? Hello,
I can hear you very clear, very clear.
Yeah.
Okay. For your second question, brother, when you said that we deal with other cultures, and while we are dealing with other cultures, there are different cultures in the world. Atheist culture, scientific culture, all types of cultures which come from different religions, from different. How do we deal with them? So, brothers and sisters, this one is a topic related more to the methods of dealing with other people in Islam, the methods of da'wah. How do we deal with the different types of people whom we meet in the world, brothers and sisters? Islam is very clear on this. There are approaches, there are ways how we deal with others who differ with us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you know, says in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al hasanati wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan." Means Islam wants to build a mind that is more open-minded, more interactive, more inclusive, more wise, and more using the peaceful and the knowledge and the hikmah and the ways of dealing with issues and problems, especially when you are dealing with others who are peaceful people, whether they subscribe to your religion or aqidah or not, different. In Islam, we are dealing with people, and in our mind, we have that understanding that they are also Khalifa on earth, but they have different aqidah or different perspective or different understanding. And we try our best to convey to them the right version that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. So from da'wah perspective, dealing with people of other cultures who differ with us, of course, differ with us in many things. The things of ibadah, the things of aqidah, the things of sharia, the things of... So we need to differentiate, and we need to understand that Quran and Sunnah is the mizan, is the standard, is the criteria for us. Okay, is the mizan and the criteria. We cannot change the Quran and Sunnah because we want to suit the culture of someone else or the way of life of someone else. No. But if there are differences, we use the methodology of Quran and Islam and the Prophet Muhammad in dealing with differences, which is based on respect, peaceful means, until they become, if their means and ways become more aggressive towards us, we should show our tolerance and our manhaj of hikmah and try, if we cannot solve it today, we can try again another time. If we cannot deal with it now, maybe in the future. There are many ways how we can deal with others who differ with us, but sometimes in life, you cannot deal with it. In that case, you have to abide by the values of Islam. If you are dealing with it in a different manner, as a Muslim, you always maintain the Islamic values and perspective, even in the times of war. In Islam, we have a guideline of the ethics of war. If you remember, in the time of Rasul and Abu Bakr and Umar and the Khulafa, when they sent the army to go for jihad, and the jihad was meant not to take others' lands or to be aggressive against them, just to spread the word of peace to other people, always the Khalifa will tell people, when you go to that place, don't kill old people, don't disturb the women and the children, don't burn the trees, don't demolish the churches, don't demolish this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And if they go for peace, please resort to peace. These are the values that the religion of Islam would like to advance, brothers and sisters. So when it comes to those differing in culture, we have now, Brother Muhammad, you have to learn now from the Quran, from the Sunnah, from the teachings of Islam, from other people, other cultures, the arts and the skills of solving the cultural issues and problems. As you see, humanity today is full of conflicts, is full of problems. And we don't want, as Muslim and young youth, intelligent youth, to add fuel to what is there. We should be problem solvers, not problem makers, brothers and sisters. So, Brother Muhammad, that's why I said your questions are too deep to delve into them, but this is just a comment for you. And if you want to learn more about emotional intelligence, I hope you can resort to YouTube or to readings. There are hundreds, thousands of videos there. I will send the PowerPoint. There are a lot of things there. You learn from lecturers, from your friends, from programs like this. But what I want to stress on my brothers and sisters today here, as a Muslim, you have to develop in yourself self-directed learning motivation. Don't wait until this webinar happens for you to learn about emotional intelligence, or to learn about Sharia, or to learn about artificial intelligence. No, learn by yourself. As a Khalifa on earth, you have this responsibility and you have this mission, learn by yourself, develop in yourself two things. Number one, the sense and motivation of self-directed learning. Number two, the habit of reading. Read, read, and read. Read, read, and read.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. Jazakumullah khairan. Prof, there are another two questions, Prof.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Brother Sayyid Farooq Aziz, you can unmute and ask, inshallah.
Welcome.
Brother Sayyid Farooq.
Maybe go to the other one and then we come back.
Okay, yeah, it's better. Brother Hassan Wali, you can ask.
Alaikum wa rahmatullah. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of unanswered, but alhamdulillah, you have created a medium in which we can communicate. Very, very informative, very good, and I want to compliment you. Two, now, I've been on the same route as you've been doing, but I've diverted from all the social and the secular intelligence definitions. I've come up with one word, it's called TM, meaning teachable moments. And teachable moments come from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I've just busy finished a book now. It's called The Jewel of Duality, and that is exactly what you've been talking about: the anger, the emotion, control, and all that. And in the kitabs, we talk about the term called ittidal, to create a balance. And the balance is on the adl, that is the justice of Islam, and that justice needs the intelligence. That is, we have to do the learning. So alhamdulillah, I was hoping maybe there might be a possibility that we could bring together and use your secular knowledge with the Islamic and what I printed, and maybe we could give a manual to the people that they need. This is very important because we are being so keen by the emotional teachers, all the life coaches taking you from a Western perspective. You see, when they talk about anger, you can't teach anger. Anger is in a human being. We have to bring it into a balance. Hazrat Umar was a typical example of it. He had anger, and that anger later was used for the benefit of Deen, where he became a very calm person. We need desire, but the desire has to have a balance. If it's too much desire, it becomes a tyrant. If it's too little desire, it can become suicidal. So these are innate qualities Allah Ta'ala has put in us. As you explained, we have to have the emotional knowledge from the Quran and the Sunnah to be able to create a balance. Jazakallah. Please comment on this.
Jazakumullah khairan. Yes,
Brother Hassan, we cannot add more to what you are saying. You are saying the wisdom. You move from the level of knowledge to the level of wisdom. So I agree 100% with you. But unfortunately, what is dominating in the mainstream model of our educational systems is the Western knowledge, from the social science to the human science to psychology, anthropology, even to natural science, economics, and this. And that's why the movement of Islamization and integration of knowledge is trying to bring the alternatives. But to get those alternatives, you have to pass from this situation where you find your children and your student. If I ask now, millions of our Muslim students in all the Muslim countries who are studying economics or psychology, other than those who are in Islamic university, and tell them what are the textbooks that you are using to study the soul or the psychology or the nafs, the answer will be 99%, if not 100%. Sources and references and examples and cases are all Western. So that's the dilemma which we have today. But definitely, my understanding of emotional intelligence and the cultural and social and what social intelligence, that one to me, I look at it all from the Islamic perspective, and I have my own terms and words and terminology from the Quran and Sunnah. But for the purpose of this lecture today, I just try to tell people that there is a lot of things in Islam and in the Quran that we can learn in this regard. But on the other hand, we have these dominating models which we have to deal with. Because if you are talking about the issue of anger and ghadab and all this, from an Islamic perspective, our understanding of the human being is different from the West. In the West, the human being is more the body and the mind. The body and the mind. But in Islam, the human being is made of the soul, the heart, the mind, the body, the senses, the fitra, and above all this, the spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Means a different understanding of the human being. That's why in Islam, we cannot understand emotional intelligence or cultural intelligence without spiritual intelligence, because the soul, the heart is the center of that spiritual intelligence. So I think, inshallah, in other programs and activities, we can go into the details. But I thank you for your comment and your understanding. No problem.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan, Prof. And the last question, Brother SHM Engineer, it's mentioned name like that, you can ask.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In first place, thank Allah for this opportunity forwarded to us. May He bestow peace and breaks upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I'm secondly Hamza from Uganda, Kyambogo University. I thank Brother Abdelaziz for this presentation. It has been quite a moving one. It's very important in our social, communication, social lives. But now, my question is that there is a situation whereby you exercise emotional intelligence, and then other people take it as an opportunity to step onto you. They take it as an advantage, to put you down. In such a situation, what should how should I handle such a situation, brother? Otherwise, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brother Hamza. That's a very good question. Yeah, of course, we should, let's say, if we use the Islamic terms, we should have like kind of a balance, because if you use emotional intelligence more than what the situation deserves, it might become negative. We should not be too emotional intelligence. We should have that idea of balance. Sometimes, let's take the example of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in all his sunnah, in all his work, he was always smiling, always saying yes, 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 yes. No, it's balance. So emotional intelligence, it helps you to understand your emotions and control them, and others' emotions and control them. But if the other side is making use of this situation or does not listen, you have to learn the other skills and the emotional intelligence and other intelligences to deal with this type of situation. I myself, I come across many cases like this. You need to show the other, because emotional intelligence is not only dealing about the positive side and you are tolerating and you are positive and you are caring. No, you are dealing also with the negative side, and you judge what the situation requires. If the situation in this case require that you help and care and you be lenient, but the same case happened another time, but the other side is making use of it, your behavior should not of care and leniency, but it should be of being more firm and more telling the right thing to the person, so that you alert him that his way of dealing with the situation is actually opportunistic or actually not respecting the other side. So the principle here is it will depend on the situations, and you as a Muslim aware Khalifa on earth who really understand all these things and practice the teachings of Islam and the manhaj of Rasulullah, Allah will guide you to the right situations and this. And sometimes you do wrong, but you learn from it. You take ibrah from it. You take lesson from it. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran speaks about tatafakkarun, tatadabbarun, tatadhakkarun, ta'tabirun, tatawassamun, all these things to create that Muslim Khalifa intelligent mind that can deal with the situations, and with his awareness and intelligence, he can differentiate with things. That's why I said we have to learn more. Maybe as our professor, our brother mentioned, today I draw your attention to the importance of these things. Please study, please read, please listen to videos, please, and try to find out whether there are emotional intelligence skills from Islamic perspective or not. Is there cultural intelligence from Islamic perspective or not? Go after this and Google and find whether there are or not. Maybe they can lead you to how you understand the situation. So the more you understand the Quranic approach, the Rasulullah manhaj, and the more you understand how Sharia and how Islam builds the vicegerent mind and his way of behavior in different situation and context, I think the more you are able to succeed in whatever you do. But if you fail, you take it positively and you move forward and you learn and you improve yourself. And the more you improve, then you will be more knowledgeable, inshallah, and Allah will guide us all.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your time, for your very insightful lecture. I am also thankful to Brother Sayyid Iftikhar Gilani, who recommended your name in the very beginning, and Brother Rashad for facilitating this whole process, and Brother Insaf for moderating this session. We hope, inshallah, whenever we have other chances, the professor will come and facilitate and enlighten our students. Brother Iftikhar, with a few of your words, we will stop the session, inshallah. The next session will start after 7 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I am very thankful to my dear professor, Dr. Abdelaziz Berghout, Dean, International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, International Islamic University, Malaysia. He is my teacher, he is my ideal teacher, and I'm very thankful to him, and also thankful to you to call Professor Dr. Abdelaziz Berghout for this. And your session is very insightful and very interesting and very informative. Jazakumullah khairan fid darain.
Thank you, Brother Iftikhar. Thank you. May Allah bless you and the rest, inshallah.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
جزاكم الله خير، بروف. جزاكم الله خير، بروف. بارك الله.
شكرا جزيلا.